There's a type of person who disappears not out of anger, not out of weakness, but out of an almost primal need to preserve something essential inside themselves. You've probably been called cold for it, distant, difficult, maybe even selfish. But Carl Jung, one of the most profound minds in the history of psychology, would have looked at you and seen something else entirely. He would have seen someone in the middle of one of the most important processes a human being can undergo. So what does Jung actually say about the people who pull away to protect their peace? And why does the world misread this so consistently? Let's start at the beginning. Jung spent decades studying the inner life, not just what people do, but why they do it at the deepest level. And one of the things he noticed over and over again was that the most psychologically healthy people weren't necessarily the most socially available ones. They were the ones who had learned to listen to something he called the self, the deeper, truer center of a person's identity, beneath the roles, the masks, the performances we put on for others. He called those masks the persona. And here's the thing about the persona. It's not inherently bad. We all need one. It helps us navigate the world, move through social situations, meet expectations. But for some people, sensitive people, deeply feeling people, people who grew up in environments where they had to become what others needed, the persona becomes a prison. It becomes so thick, so practiced, that the real self underneath starts to suffocate. And when something suffocates long enough, it fights back. That fight, that's what pulling away actually is. It's not withdrawal in the clinical unhealthy sense. It's not avoidance, it's not a trauma response masquerading as preference. When you pull away to protect your peace, you are often, without even having the language for it, attempting to shed a version of yourself that was built for someone else's comfort. You're creating space, real, necessary space, for the self to breathe. Jung called this process individuation, and he considered it the central task of a human life. Individuation is the journey toward becoming who you actually are, as opposed to who you were told to be, shaped to be, or rewarded for being. It's not a quick process. It's not a comfortable one. And it almost always involves a period of pulling back from the world, from relationships, from the noise, in order to hear something quieter underneath. The people who trigger this process, who disappear for a while, who stop being as available, who start saying no without elaborate explanations, Jung would not have called them broken. He would have called them brave. But let's talk about what happens to the people around them, because this is where things get complicated. When someone who has always been present, always been accommodating, always been the one who shows up, when that person suddenly creates distance, it destabilizes the people in their orbit. And the reaction is almost always the same. You've changed. You're not who you used to be. What happened to you? What they're really saying is, the version of you that existed for my benefit has stopped showing up, and I don't know what to do with a version of you that exists for yourself. Jung had a concept for this too. He understood that when one person in a system begins to individuate, the system pushes back. Hard. Because systems, families, friendships, relationships, often depend on people staying in their assigned roles. The caretaker keeps caretaking. The peacekeeper keeps peacekeeping. The strong one keeps being strong. The moment someone steps out of their role, the system experiences it as a threat. Not because anything bad is actually happening, but because the equilibrium has shifted. And equilibrium, even unhealthy equilibrium, feels safe to people who've built their lives around it. So when you pull away and someone calls it selfish, understand what's really being said. Your growth is inconvenient for my comfort. That's not a reason to stop growing. There's another dimension to this that Jung spoke about directly, the shadow. The shadow is everything we've buried about ourselves, the parts we were taught to hide, the emotions we learned were unacceptable, the needs we were told were too much. For people who habitually give, habitually accommodate, habitually make themselves smaller, The shadow is often full of anger, full of need, full of a self that wanted things and was told not to want them. When you pull away, you begin to encounter that shadow, and it's uncomfortable. It doesn't always look spiritual or enlightened from the inside. Sometimes it looks like irritability, like exhaustion, like a sudden inability to pretend anymore that things are fine when they aren't. Jung didn't see this as a breakdown. He saw it as a breakthrough. The shadow, when finally acknowledged, doesn't destroy you. It completes you. The people who never pull away, who never allow themselves this kind of necessary retreat, who keep performing and giving and accommodating past the point of genuine capacity, they don't escape the shadow. They just carry it longer. And it comes out sideways. In resentment, in passive aggression, in the slow erosion of every relationship they thought they were protecting by never saying no. Here's what Jung also understood about the people who need solitude, who protect their inner world fiercely, who require long stretches of stillness to function at their deepest level. He understood that this was not pathology, it was typology. His entire framework of introversion, a concept he essentially gave the modern world, was built on the observation that some people are genuinely energized by turning inward. That solitude isn't their punishment or their wound, it's their source. And when that source gets depleted, the only honest response is to refill it, not to push through, not to keep giving from an empty vessel, to stop, go inward and return to yourself. This is what pulling away to protect your peace actually looks like at its healthiest. It's not a wall, it's a return to the place inside you where your values live, where your real thoughts form, where your intuition speaks clearly without being drowned out by everyone else's urgency. And then there's what Jung called the transcendent function, the capacity to hold two opposites in tension and allow something new to emerge. You can love people and need space from them. You can care deeply and still say no. You can be loyal and still have limits. The world tends to treat these as contradictions. Jung understood them as the necessary tension from which a genuine self is born. So if you're someone who pulls away, who needs silence, who retreats not out of cruelty, but out of an almost urgent need to hear yourself again, Jung's work suggests that you're not failing at connection. You're doing something harder. You're refusing to let the noise of constant connection dissolve the one relationship that makes all others possible, the relationship with yourself. That's not coldness, that's not distance as a character flaw. That's individuation in progress. That's the shadow being faced. That's the persona being questioned, loosened, renegotiated on your own terms. And on the other side of it, not immediately, not without discomfort, but eventually, there's a version of you that connects more honestly, loves more freely, and gives more genuinely, precisely because you stopped giving from a place of fear and obligation and started giving from a place of actual wholeness. Jung spent his whole life studying what it means to become fully human. And he was clear about one thing: that journey inward, the one that looks like retreat, the one that gets mistaken for selfishness, the one that costs you the relationships that couldn't survive your growth. That journey isn't a detour from your life. It is your life. So if you've been pulling away and wondering whether something is wrong with you, hear this. Carl Jung would not have seen a problem. He would have seen a process, and he would have told you, with the full weight of a lifetime studying the human soul, to trust it. Have you been through this kind of retreat? Are you in the middle of it right now? Drop a comment below. And if someone in your life needs to hear that pulling away isn't always running away, share this with them.